Welcome to Your Dialysis Nurse. Today we're going to talk about 5 dialysis tips for new nurses. But first, if you're new to my channel and you enjoy the content, please subscribe at the end of the video. And if you're not new to my channel, but you have been coming back for the content, please like and subscribe. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's get into these topics. Now, I wrote down my topics in my little book, okay? Because I find myself saying, well, shoot, I wanted to talk about this. I forgot to talk about that. And today it ain't happening. Okay. So, my first tip for new nurses, and if you're not a new nurse and you're just new to dialysis, this applies to you too. Okay. Because you still have to be orientated to the position, to the clinic, okay, to the job itself, right? Number one, be patient with your preceptor. 9 out of 10, your preceptor is precepting you, but still 100% responsible for her job duties for the day. Um, and she has to, or he has to, juggle both well, not both, juggle all the job duties for the day as a nurse. Also train you and make sure that you're being trained correctly, follow policy and procedure like always, and still give great care to the patients. So for me, that's like the number one thing. Be patient with your preceptor. You never know just how much they have on their plate. And sometimes, a lot of the times, you don't run across a good manager in dialysis, right? Meaning they're all about just hiring. They don't really care how much is on their employees' table. Um, and they may be overwhelmed without much help. So be patient, be patient, be patient. I cannot stress that enough. You never know what your preceptor has to do for the day, on top of juggling, orientating you to the job. Okay. Number two, learn as much as you can while in training. Now, there is a stigma surrounding dialysis that it's very easy and it's very repetitive. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. Yes, your patients are dialyzing every day, but they're all dealing with something different. And if you're a good nurse, you will learn that immediately. There is more to dialysis than just assessing and passing meds. Sometimes you have to work as a technician, and that's not the ideal situation. But I like to say, because I used to be a CCHT, I like to say that being a CCHT is the meat and potatoes of everything. Yes, you need your nurse to assess, to give certain meds and whatnot, but your technicians, without your technicians, those technicians are coming in, they're getting the water ready, they're doing the checks on all the water. The water is important because if you don't have safe water, you don't have safe dialysis. I'm not going to digress on this subject, but sometimes you have to work as a technician. But most importantly, you will be learning each patient individually. Each patient individually, um, there is something different with each one. Okay. So you can't go into the field saying, okay, well, I have 12 patients for the day and I'm just going to assess and I'm going to do this. Okay, this person may be allergic to heparin, but it's not noted in a chart. And they don't even know that they're allergic to heparin yet. And now you're looking out for signs and symptoms of a person being allergic to heparin, or they may be allergic to the iron, or they may be allergic to the ESA, or somebody may come in and they're not feeling good. They have a lot of edema on their legs. How much can they tolerate? You know that you've only taken off this amount on this patient on this given day. And so now you're needing to take off one more liter. Do you go ahead and you do that using your nursing judgment? Or do you go ahead and you call the doctor um, and get orders for it? Um, what else? And throughout treatment, certain patients need like the machine may need to have some sodium modeling. They may need to be on a profile because towards the end of treatment, they may start to cramp, or towards the end of treatment, they might not feel good. So even though, yes, the patients are getting on to dialyze every day, you will have different things you need to look out for every day. This person came in 4 kilos heavy, right? 4 kilos over their target weight. So now you're trying to pull off 4.5 because you're including a rinse back with the bloodline. Some bloodlines, the rinse back is 250. So now you're pulling off 425, right? But now your patient 2 kilos in of the removal does not feel good. Okay, so what did you miss in your assessment? Did that patient have a heavy meal the night before? Has that patient been eating heavy? Because now, if that patient's eating heavy, you now have to look at the signs and symptoms that's being presented in that moment. The blood pressure is dropping, the patient's cramping. They may have gained some body mass weight. It may not all be fluid. Or, hey, Mr. or Mrs. So and so, did you take your blood pressure medications last night, this morning? Okay, so their blood pressure may be dropping. And so now you can't pull the fluid off that you initially wanted to pull off. It's a different, I don't want to say game, it's a different, every patient has individualized care. It's not like a cookie cutter type of situation. Okay, so you have to take that into account. And those who get it, get it. Also, there's many other things that get done besides the assessment, besides the medications being given during treatment. Yeah, you may have some medications, antibiotics that need to be given towards the end of treatment, but there's also nursing notes. There's monthly nursing notes that need to be get done where you, the nurse, are looking at the patient's labs, and you have to determine, XYZ. We can get into that in another video. You have to do care plans. Is there an initial care plan due? How many initial care plans you have to do? Do you have any AKI patients? Because if you have AKI patients, those AKI patients need their assessments done for care plans monthly. Um, do you have any patients that are doing 90 days? Do you have some unstable patients? Because if you have an unstable patient, then their care plan needs to be done monthly until deemed unstable slash stable. We can get into that in another video as well. So there are many things that need to get done. The monthly medication updates. And if it's not monthly medication updates, you have some updates from a patient who now is on a diuretic, or you do an assessment and you think a patient can benefit from a diuretic. And so now you're getting orders from the doctor to get that called in. And now you have to update the list. It's so many things. When somebody comes back from the hospital, you have to update their problem list. You have to look through the packet and see exactly what happened and update. Did they have any surgeries? You have to update that in the system. Now are they dealing with hypoxia? That has to be updated in their problem list. So there's a lot that goes on. But I also want you to know that um, if you're not the one doing these things, you are very lucky. But I want you to know that there is somebody doing those things for you. There is somebody doing those care plans every month, doing those monthly assessments, doing those medication updates, medication reconciliation updates. There's somebody doing it, and your management is allowing you to just be the nurse on the floor and deal with direct care, opposed to dealing with direct care and then also having to do all the other things. There'll be some care plans, that you'll need to do, you'll need to assist with. But hopefully you're in a clinic that has a good system going on. And then eventually down the line, that's something that you'll want to learn because you'll get used to what's going on, what you need to look out for throughout the day. So now you'll have a little bit more downtime and you'll be in that mindset to be like, okay, let me learn something new. Number 3, always keep a positive mindset. You're going to have people that's going to say, oh, this wasn't for me because XYZ. Oh, this may not be for you because you come from this background. And that may be true in some cases, whatever is being said, but you have to allow yourself to write your own story. Number 4, now this is a given. Always follow policy and procedure. I'm not going to elaborate on that. I'm going to keep that short and sweet. Number 5, please do not take these words lightly. Get to work early. Now, most of the time they say, oh, well, the technicians have to come in at 3:30 and the nurses don't have to come in until 4:30. Although coming in later may benefit the nurse, it kind of sets your morning up for failure, right? And this is why. You may have a technician that calls out for the day. Guess who has to take that pod? You. So if you come in at 4:30, your patients are coming in at 4:50, 4:55, so that they can start coming in and be on by 5:15 or 5 o'clock. You now have to get your medications together, warm up any antibiotics that need to be, not antibiotics, warm up any IDPN that needs to be warmed up. And then you have to assess all your patients. At the same time, you have to put 4 people on or 5 people on in a pod, or you have to medicate them, and your whole day gets thrown off because of that. So if you are early, you're able to kind of get ahead of the game with anything. So what I like to do, and I'm kind of digressing, but let's say that your technician called out, one of your technicians called out. What I like to do is I like to say, okay, boom, I'm going to open a door early and you guys put on 4 patients or however many patients you can. I'm going to open the door 15 minutes early. But you can't do that if you are not super early yourself. Because if you're coming into chaos, the rest of your day is going to be chaotic. So get to work early. You never know what kind of day you're going to have. And if you get there early, then hey, you can get ahead of the labels for second shift. You can do some documenting that needs to get done. You can work on some access notes, some access care plans. There's so many things that you can do. But my number one thing I always do is I always get to work early, no matter where I'm at. If a job, if the patient doesn't come in till 6 and they're saying me as a nurse, I need to come in at 5:30, I always come in at 5. I've always been that way as a nurse. So I hope that these 5 tips for dialysis helps a new nurse somewhere or a nurse that's new to the field somewhere. And if you have any questions, drop it in the comments below. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok as well, your dialysis nurse. Thank you.